Hello everybody, welcome to another webinar. My name is Dustin Hartzer and today we're going to be talking about how we can ditch Aweber, MailChimp, Constant Contact, whatever email newsletter provider that you may be using. We're going to get rid of those and we're going to actually use MailChimp, and we're going to use that, or we're going to use MailPoet. Sorry, I got MailChimp on the brain. We're going to use MailPoet. It's a plugin within the WordPress repository. It has over 1.7 million downloads. And we're going to talk about and show how you can manage all of these people in your network within your WordPress dashboard itself. And so with that, let's go ahead and just dive right in and get started. We're looking right now at a basic installation of WordPress. It's a self-hosted version. It's running locally here on my computer, and we should be able to do everything that we can do with a live site, a site that is out there on the World Wide Web. We can do that all locally, so I can just show you much more quickly, and it's not going to affect any of my live sites. So this is just running locally, and we're going to go ahead and dive right in. If you have any questions during the course of the webinar, go ahead and you can ask those. There's a chat box within the Google Hangout area. You can go ahead and put those in there, and then I'll answer those at the end of the webinar. This also is recorded, and so you can watch it again at a later time, and feel free to take any notes or anything, but you will get a copy of this when the whole thing is done and over, or you may be watching this after the fact and you are watching the replay. So I put it out there just because it's going to be a great valuable resource, and you're going to learn how to manage all your email contacts within WordPress itself. It makes it so super simple. So why do we do this? Why do we want to use something within WordPress? And for me, I'm just going to list out a couple benefits here, and some of the main reasons. The main reason is it's easy. It's all within the WordPress dashboard. I don't have to log into somewhere else. I don't have to go out to MailChimp and then manage different lists and do all these different things. That's a completely separate environment and a completely separate experience for somebody who doesn't use MailChimp very often, and MailChimp changes things all the time. So I like it because it's very easy to know what's going on when it's all designed to work perfectly with WordPress. Another reason is that I don't need all the bells and whistles. There's a lot of things that MailPoet can do, and there's a lot of things that some of the big name companies, the Infusionsoft, the Office Autopilots, there's stuff there in those companies that they have way more power than I actually need. I'm basically using this to collect email addresses for people who sign up for my free ebook on my website, and that's basically it. I send out an email newsletter a couple times a month, and I might have a promotional email that goes out to tell about upcoming webinars and things along those lines. I'm not trying to sell to anybody and anything along those lines. MailPoet does a really great job as well with interfacing with other WordPress plugins. So say you have a WooCommerce page or a WooCommerce checkout form, you can add a checkbox that says add me to my newsletter with a click of a button, and it's very simple to do, and you don't have to go through all the hoops and try to figure out, okay, how do I get this checkbox, okay, and then how do I send this data from my WordPress site over to Aweber, and getting all those pieces work together and how all of those things work. So this is a couple of the main reasons I like it. Another simple reason is you can automatically generate your content based on blog posts you've already created within your site. They're drag and droppable, and we'll show you exactly how to do that as the time comes. So we're doing MailPoet, and MailPoet is a plugin in the WordPress repository. So we can go over to our plugin section and go to install plugins. I've already got it there. It's ready to go, and all we have to do is activate it. But if you have never added a plugin before, you can just go to add new, and then you can go ahead and search. And if you search for MailPoet, you can go ahead and search the WordPress repository for MailPoet. And you can see that it's installed, but then we've got extra extensions like MailPoet for Gravity Forms. So if you have Gravity Forms and you want that checkbox, please add me to my email newsletter. You can do that. If you have a Jingo shop, if you have a paid membership pro, if you have Contact Form 7, if you have Vanguard, if you have bbPress add-on, there's all of these different extensions, different plugins, so that you can interface your email newsletter subscriber list with some of these other well-known plugins that are out there on the WordPress repository. But we've already got it installed. Let's go back to the installed plugins, and let's just go ahead and activate it. Now, I do have to make a note that any version that is less than 2.6.7 is vulnerable to a huge security attack. So if you're not using the latest and greatest, you want to go ahead and do that and update that immediately. Now, if you're watching this and you go and download it, you're automatically going to have the newest version. But if you've been using MailPoet for a while, you'll want to be sure to go in and update that plugin. But it's very simple to get going. All you got to do is hit the activate button, and it adds a nice little MailPoet section here on your WordPress dashboard. And there's only 4 different options to work through. And this is basically, they've updated it and they want to tell you a little bit about it. And I basically say, no thanks. I know what that screen says. It's just basically a welcome screen, and you can give the plugin a review or things along those lines. And so basically we've got this MailPoet screen, and there's only 3 real options. The last option is premium, and you can actually upgrade this to a premium version, which gives you some better analytics. It gives you some really cool extra features that you may want to look into. So if you're more of an email subscriber power user and you want to know exactly how many people click on what specific link within an email newsletter, if you want to see how many specific unsubscribes, if you want to make sure that if somebody gets a bounce message 4 or 5 times, you can set a limit, then it automatically deletes them from your account. There's so many cool things that you can do with the premium account, and that's basically all of this is just telling you about some of the cool things that you can do. And you can you don't have any limits. You can do everything. The free version does allow you can only have up to 2,000 subscribers with the free version, but that's very similar. MailChimp is the same way. You can have up to 3,000 or 2,000 for free before you can before they start making you pay. This is a one-time $99 fee for the year, so you can go in and you can get it for 1 year for $99, or $249 for 4 sites, or $400 for all of your sites. So if you're interested, you can check that out. But let's go ahead and dive into the free features, because that's all I'm using right now, and I am loving this plugin, and it is doing wonders for at least helping me send out more content and send more newsletters. And so first I want to look at the subscribers. The subscriber area is very simple. It's going to go ahead and pull in any person that's already subscribed to your WordPress site. So anybody that's in the user section, if we would go to all users, you see that MailPoet is the only person that's in there. If I would go in and add another user, that person would end up on the MailPoet screen as well. So this is really cool. If you have a membership site, you can send out and you can tag people in a certain area. For members only, you get a special list. So this is kind of cool too. Like, there's really no good way right now to take email addresses and names and contact information that you already have that are stored in your WordPress site and have them on a email newsletter list. There's not really a really good way to do that with 2 third-party companies working together. And so that's another reason that I really like MailPoet. So you've got some options to add subscribers. We're just going to go ahead and add another subscriber here just so we can, and we'll say add subscriber, and you basically want to, you just basically type in your information. If you have this, it'd be perfect for, I know that I always like to put clients in a specific email list, and not because I wanted to email blast them, but I wanted to be able to communicate regularly. Like, I wasn't upselling them or anything. It was basically like, hey, make sure that you remember to do this. It's this month. WordPress 3.9 just came out. You want to go ahead and make sure that you update that. Things along those lines. And I put all my clients on something like that, so that way they got that information regularly when there's new updates and they needed to do something, some sort of action needed on their part. So I can go in. I'm just going to put, we'll put DDW expands out to Dustin at Your Website Engineer, and we will say, let's see, I'm just going to put D Hart. I will just shorten my name so we can at least see the difference between them. And if you're manually adding somebody that is already quote-unquote subscribed, or you want them to be subscribed, you have this status and you say subscribed, and then if they're unsubscribed, it's obviously they're unsubscribed, and unconfirmed means that they haven't clicked on the link in the email to verify that their email is legit. And then you can add them to a list, and if you have multiple lists, you'd have multiple boxes here to check. So we'll just go ahead and add that subscriber, and we'll go ahead and take a look here as the page refreshes, and we've got the 2 of them are right there. They're ready to go. Now maybe we need to add another list. Maybe we wanted to have a list for only people who are left-handed. If we somehow knew how to capture the information, whether they're left-handed or right-handed, and so we will add that list as well. And as you hit the new add list button, it's going to kind of refresh, and it's going to show you all of the different lists that are already there. So we've got the left-handed group, we have my first list, and we have the WordPress user group. Well, if I go back to subscriber, I'm going to go to the part where, hey, my first list, like, I'm going to go in here and edit this, and I'm actually left-handed, so I want to be in the left-handed group as well. So then again, that's just how you manually add one person at a time. Well, this is extremely tedious and a complete pain if you have hundreds of thousands of people who are on your list. You don't want to do that. You don't want to spend the time and effort to go in one by one and import people onto your list, or manually type them in. So they do have a great import feature, and basically I want to show you just exporting a list from MailChimp. I just have a demo list here with all kind of their fake email addresses and fake names. I wanted to make sure that nobody really saw real live data here, but we can basically click the button right here and say export list. And so it says that I guess my export is started and will email you when it's completed. So I will open up my mail browser here and see if I've got that email message. It says your export is complete. I figured it would be very, very quick just because of the fact that it's a very small list. We'll go ahead and download that data. I will close out my email here and I will open up the zip file. And let's see if I can find it here. The zip file is hanging out right here. It's members, and we'll put that right there. So then we can go over to our import page, and we can go to import, and we can import subscribers, and we can copy and paste in a text box. So if we wanted to, we could open up that CSV file and just copy and paste all the data, or we could upload a file. I'm just going to go the route of uploading a file just because it's simple. And let's see if I can find that document again. It is in downloads, and then it was members export, and then it's in a CSV file. So we'll see if this actually works. And then it wants to make sure that the subscribers asked, like, did you ask the subscriber to be on your list? And if the answer is no, consider yourself a spammer. So you want to make sure that you've actually got their permission to be on the list. And then we can look here and we can see that all the information is here, and we can import the different pieces of data. On this list in particular, we've got email address, first name, and last name. That was all of the data. But then there's also all of these other columns and rows. And since this is just fake data, I didn't put in all this extra stuff. I didn't fill up all these columns, but you can see like when they opted in, when their confirmed time was, where the confirmed IP address was, and longitude, latitude. Depending on what company it is and what email service that you're using, they do have some of these extra columns. And if you don't need any of them, you just ignore the column. But I think what I'm going to do is the confirmed IP address. And these are all, it looks like my IP address, but I'm going to import as confirmed IP address, and I will show you how this looks and what this looks like in a second. I guess I can do the IP address actually here in the IP address because MailPoet has an IP address form. But if you do the confirmed time, we'll just go ahead and import as confirmed time, and I'll show you that in just a second. And we'll put everybody here on my first list. So then you can see we've got these 4 people. They're now imported, and if they would be real email addresses and they would have a gravatar image, those images do show up there, which is really nice, where you can see the image of the people who are signed up for your list. Another cool thing with MailPoet is down here at the bottom it says subscribers to show on page. You can show either 5 or you can show 10, and this number gets bigger the more people you have on your list. So for example, on one of my email lists that I have within MailPoet, it is, it's over 1,000, so I can see 250 or 500 at a time, which makes it super simple when you're scrolling through and highlighting and things like that. But if we go back over here to Mr. Mike Bent and we look at and we view his stats or edits, we can see that we've got his email address, we've got his first name, we've got his last name, and then we've got this new field down here that says confirm time, and it's got the time and the information that's in there. So that information is there. Now if we don't need this for anything, we can save this or go right back to the subscriber. And if we go to, say, this field, the one that we created earlier, remember that confirmed time wasn't there, and now we can go in if we wanted to, and we can say that we're confirming in 2014, 07:02, and it is 10:16 p.m. So we could type that in if we wanted to and save that information. So this is super, super handy if you're exporting and you have like maybe tags or some sort of like contact information that you found out about that person. You want to make sure that when you're importing, you have those specific columns so that you can fill in this information for your other people on your list, later down the road. So it's nothing that you can you can set it up so that you're actually importing those fields or asking those questions to the users, but you want to make sure that you are setting them up first when you import all of your data, so then you have those fields and you can fill those in where necessary. So that's pretty cool. It's kind of a hidden feature within MailPoet, I think. It took me a little while to figure out, and I thought it was just kind of funny the way that I figured it out, because when I was importing my list, I wanted to import with the corrected date, the timestamp date of when the person actually subscribed to my newsletter back in 2010 when I started my list, and I had to import all those columns and made it so that when they were all done being imported, everybody was in there reverse chronologically based on the original date that they signed up, with my very first email subscriber list, which was MailPoet back in 2010. So that's kind of how you manage the list and subscribers. Again, it's very, very simple. There's not a lot you can do. You can click on several of these if you want, and you can do bulk actions, like you can move them to a specific list, you can remove them from lists, you can export, you can delete, and things along those lines. So there's not a lot that you can do with the actual subscriber information. Next, let's take a look at the newsletter section. And so there's a 5-minute user guide draft that's there. So you can go ahead and use that one, or you can start your own. And you have the ability here to create either just a random post that goes out, or an autoresponder that goes out when something happens or when there's some sort of trigger. So let's go ahead and create a new email. And like, again, I said that you can do a standard message, and so this is like just an email blast, like, hey, check out my latest blog post, or check out this, or this is the coolest thing that I'm talking about now, or whatever that message is. Here's a free coupon code for whatever. Or you can do an automatic newsletter. So I think you might understand like what the standard one is. There's not any extra settings, but I wanted to showcase how you do an auto newsletter. And so basically you can send this when there's new content, which is really cool. So every time that you post a new post, it will check your site at a certain time. So say, for example, you post every morning at 9 o'clock, or that's when your blog actually comes out. You can say check when there's new content once a day at 9 a.m. And then it will check if there's a new blog post that went out at 9. It will go ahead and send that out automatically. It will just take the entire post and send it out in a newsletter, which is really pretty cool. And you can also add more information. You can do some more customizations as well. You can also do it when somebody subscribes to a list. So if somebody signs up for an email list, you can say which list it's for. So we're going to do my left-handed list, and then you can send immediately. You can send X amount of hours after, X amount of days after, and X amount of weeks after. So this one's pretty cool. So like what I like to do is if I'm giving away a free book, I'm giving away something free of value when somebody gives me their email address. What I do is I send that information out immediately. And then if it's, usually what I do is I have like a 2-day follow-up or a 3-day follow-up, and then you can go and say 3 days later, can you go ahead and send this particular message out? For this, I want to showcase how it goes out immediately, because we don't want to wait 3 days for that information, for my next message when I'm doing this webinar all in one big chunk. So that's what that piece is. So the automatically sent is awesome, like MailPoet or MailChimp. Sorry, I'm getting all the names confused, but MailChimp and Aweber and some of the services that do autoresponders make you pay for their service before you can activate the autoresponder feature. And that's not the case here with MailPoet. MailPoet, you can do whatever you like, and you can use automatic or standard. So I've got a couple of these set up. We're just going to say welcome to MailPoet webinar, and that's going to be the subject line. This is what people see that comes into their email inbox. And then we'll go to the next step. And again, this is a very simple process. All of the themes, all of the stuff is responsive, so it looks good on your phone. It looks good on a big computer screen, or whatever you may be using, whatever your visitors may be using. It's going to look good. And so what you can do is the second step is basically creating the content, creating what you want your thing to look like. So you can turn on or off images if you like. You can, or you can preview with or without images. You can here's all your content. So if you wanted to change this text, you basically click on it, and it opens up your editor window. It's all edited right here within WordPress. There's no code, so there's no code that you actually have to learn, and it's all right here. Now we're going to do, this is going to be a very, very boring newsletter that we send out, but that's okay. I just want to show you what's going on and how this really works. And you can see the panel over here on the right just continues to scroll with us, but we can get rid of some of this content. Maybe we'll get rid of this block right here. We don't need this anymore. Maybe we don't need this anymore as well. If we wanted to, we could automatically send out the latest content. So this is pretty cool. Like you can have an autoresponder, and you can say, like at the very bottom, maybe this is your welcome email, but at the bottom you want to say, hey, here's my latest piece of content. So on this site in particular, we only have the brand new post. So we can filter by just different taxonomies, different categories. You can do different posts or different pages. You can show 5 or more, and then you can show, there's all kinds of like extra stuff that you can do. So if there was 5 posts, it would show like the 5 summary pieces, and you can do title positions, and you can include authors, and you can do all kinds of really cool stuff with this. And so as you go here and you add that to your site, then basically it's showing the automatic latest content, and it gives you a preview, and it says hello world. That's the most recent blog post that's out there. You can also add dividers. You can add social bookmarks. You can add a WordPress post if you wanted to. So if you had lots of posts and you just wanted to pull a specific one, you could go ahead and you basically just take this, click it, and you drag it exactly where you want it. So pretty cool, pretty simple. And the images, the exact same thing. You can add images to your site. You basically click the add image button, and you can drop these in there. Let's see if I can find an image real quick. Let's see. This one will be good. And this is for the podcast movement, something that I was using an image for a little bit earlier today. And so it goes ahead, and it's kind of weird where this overlay screen kind of stays in place, but basically then you can just close that out, and we can say that we want this, and we're going to drag this into maybe right there. So we can do that. Let's go ahead and remove that text. Let's remove that box as well. So right here is kind of what our newsletter is starting to look like. We can go in and change our styles. So we can change the links. We can change the background colors. So maybe instead of the header background being that color, maybe we want it to be this nice shade of pink. Or maybe the footer, we can change all of these different things. The view in browser, this text up here, we can make that smaller. If you want that really, really small, you can do that as well. So it's all about customizing. You can make it exactly like you like. You can even like drag in your logo here at the top, and you can, if you leave it empty, it will kind of disappear, but you can do that as well. So I'm trying to think, do I have my images in here too? I could go and find the image that I normally use for my header. Of course, it's not in this site because I just kind of started this site today because of the fact that I was doing this webinar. But if I go into images, do I have it in here? Newsletter. I think it is right here. We can go ahead and we can open this, and that will upload to this area as well, and then I can click and I can drag and I say I want that right there. So that goes ahead and just puts that exactly right there. If I wanted to add that or make that a link, I can click right here and I can say take this page and let's take everybody to your website, engineer.com. And then I can just say your website engineer. So then there you go. And last and not least, there are many more themes that you can use that come with the free plan, and you can go through and you can scroll through all of these themes. You can even create your own theme. There's a guide here, and you can go through and download the PSD file. So if you wanted to make some changes, things along those lines, those are all right there. So you can go and you can look through. I think there's a few hundred themes that are free that you can go and you can look through and you can check out. So you want to check those out as well. So that's enough. I think this is a great looking newsletter. I think it's going to be perfect. If I wanted to, I could go ahead and send a preview. So if you just click send preview, it'll pop up a button that says your email has been sent. So we can head on over back to our email inbox and take a look at it. But let's go to the next step, and then we'll go take a look and see what it looks like. So basically the last step, it gives you the opportunity to put in the subject line again or edit it in case maybe your message has changed. Maybe you're not saying exactly what you thought you were, so you can always change that. And then here is when it goes out, so you want to change that as well if necessary. And then the sender, this is something that you want to make sure that you have your name. So the name would be maybe Dustin Hartzler, and then we'll put DDW, which is Dustin, your website engineer, and then we'll do the exact same thing down here, just so if people do want to respond to it, they have that information. this is a huge and very important checkbox to check when it says ignore current subscribers. And that basically means that if people are already on the list, don't send them something that automatically is supposed to go out when you first sign up for the list. And so that's what that is all about. So we'll activate this. You want to make sure that you ignore the one subscriber in the list of left-handed. Yes. And if this was something, if this was like a 4-part series that was coming out, if people signed up, you could say, hey, I wanted to send this out to my entire list, and then like even the people that are already on it. So you can see here the 2 different colors. Like if the line here is a regular post, a standard post, it is white, and then if it is this color, the blue color, then that means that that it is a autoresponder and it goes out. And you can see this right here too. You can look at all your autoresponders and you can look at all your standard newsletters. I want to show you what this looks like real quick inside of Mail. So we'll go over to Mail and pull this up super fast, and you can see that it sent the test message out before I had a chance to update this information. So that's what it looks like. That's what you see. And I don't have the images turned on within Gmail, within Google right now, so it's not showing any images for me. And so that's why you don't see any of them. Usually there's a bar up here somewhere that says show images. But I am not seeing that right now. But so you want to just take that in consideration. Sometimes that Mail browsers will not display and they will not show the images. So I'm not exactly sure how or why it's not showing that, which is really concerning to me because I just took the time to get this all set up. But anyhow, it could be too based on the fact that I'm running all of this locally and the images are stored locally. And so when the image that it's trying to serve up here, if I copy the image URL and go to this page here, it's basically showing an error because of the fact that it's trying to display this image here, which is local to my computer, and Google can't serve it up to put it here in my email newsletter. So that's the reason that the image is not there. So you want to make sure when you're testing it to make sure that everything is working perfectly fine, and you can see that work. Now, another thing that's really cool is you can see very quickly and very easily the percentage of people that have opened, the percentage that have clicked on things, and the percentage of people who have unsubscribed based on the fact that from that particular message. So if we go in and we can look at, we can click on, I believe right here, and it's not going to show us anything because we haven't sent any out, but basically you can look at the links inside there and it shows like the total number of clicks and the unique clicks. And then if you want to know exactly subscriber by subscriber, that's where some of the premium content comes in, and that's where you have to go in and actually like pay the $99 a year to get all of that information. So that's how you set up the subscribers and the newsletters. Like those are the 2 kind of big pieces, the moving parts of how it works. But you do need to somehow collect that email address. You've got to get that information in. So you want to make sure that you have your company address. These are all under the settings under MailPoet, and you want to turn on email notifications that if they get it, you're coming from a specific email address, and you can update all of this stuff as well. And you want to make sure that the text of the unsubscribe link, you can change this to whatever you like. If you want to get rid of the browser version, you can get rid of this, uncheck that, and that box no longer displays at the top of the messages. So you've got all of that. You can determine what page on your website is the unsubscribe page. So if somebody clicks on the unsubscribe link, it takes them to your site on that page, and you can say, wait, don't go. You can give them more information, more valuable content that maybe hopefully keep them on your email list. And then across the top here are the few other things that you can do settings-wise. The forms, these are subscribe to your newsletter. So these are, a form. You can create any type of form that you like, and you can create, I believe, as many fields as you like. You can basically add the email address and then the first name. We'll put the first name down here, and we'll do the last name down here, and then we'll put that confirmed time, so people will have to type in that time that they're signing up. If you had birthday field, or if you had make and model of a car, or whatever that is, you could put that information there. If you wanted to have like a mini little survey with some information, like which list to sign up, I guess this is which list to sign up for, you can go ahead and do that as well. So you can go ahead and create this form. You can add a new field if you like as well. So you can create a radio button or checkbox. So this would be something more along the lines of, hey, sign up for, or the field name is maybe left-handed. And you can say yes. I wanted to add one other field, but so I'm not gonna spend all day just kind of working on adding this field, but then you can go ahead and you can add this field right here, and you can say if you're left-handed, you can check that box and say yes. So that's how you create a new form. Let's just go ahead and save this so we can get back to the settings page. And if we wanted to actually display this on our site, we would go into the widgets panel, and on the widgets panel, we would look for the MailPoet subscription form. We'll put this right here at the top. You can say which form, subscribe to your newsletter, and we can click save. And then if we go and visit our site, we should see that on the home page, depending on where we are. So subscribe to our newsletter. Let's see. It should be, yeah, it's just right here, and that's the only required field. So that's the way that it's set up. And so I don't think the new form the new form was just called new form. So if we save that and go and look at the visit the site, then you can see the email, the first name, the are you left-handed, which list you want to be on, the last name, and confirm time. So all of that's right there, and you can see how it just goes right with your site. It kind of inherits all the properties within your theme as well, so you don't have to go and spend a lot of time customizing and stylizing it. So that's that setting. That's how to set up that piece. And then the sign up confirmation. This is what happens when people sign up for your email list. So if somebody would sign up with that box that's there, it basically says, hello, hooray, you've subscribed to this link. And then here is the link that you need to click on to activate your account to make sure that you have a legitimate email address. And so you can change all of this text. You can create a page on your site that gives you all the information, or maybe when somebody clicks on this link, it's going to take them to the MailPoet page, and we can preview what this page looks like. And it basically says you've subscribed to demo. Yep, we've added you to your list. You're hearing from us shortly. And you can add all kinds of content right specifically to this page, your MailPoet page, and you can just give all, you can make it a better experience, and it's all within WordPress, and it's not a hard configuration to set up. We can go and we'll actually look at, this is basically in the page section. So if we go to the dashboard, and then we will go to pages and all pages, we just have a sample page here, but we could go and we could add a new page, and we could call this one the MailPoet page, and we could put all kinds of information there so people would see that when they sign up. So that's what that is. That's how that section works. And then the send with, this is probably the most important piece. And so there's 3 different settings that you can send out these email messages. You can use if you have a very small list, if you're having 50 people at most, this is probably more recommended from the 25 to 40 type people. You can send it right through your SMTP server on your web host. Now web hosts don't like you using this very much, so if you've got a very small list, that you're completely fine doing it this way. The next recommended way is Gmail. You can set it up to be Gmail. It's probably the easiest to set up. It's completely free to do, and it's just recommended to open up a new Gmail account. So in this instance, you may want to just call it, my MailChimp or MailWeber or MailPoet or whatever it is. Just create a brand new email address and then have it just be the thing that sends out all of these messages. And so basically what you do is you just log into Google, you log into Gmail, and that's all you do. And then it basically says that by using Gmail, you can only send up to 70 emails per hour. So if you have 500 people on your list, 70 per hour, that's going to take about 8 hours to send out your message. So you want to make sure that it's not quite time sensitive, that people get it right at 8 a.m. because people will get it at 8, and then they'll get it at 9, and they'll get it at 10, and they'll get it at 11, and things like that. And then lastly is the third party, and this is basically where you can go out and pay for a service. I'm using one called Elastic Email, and you basically pay for sends. So I believe I'm paying like 99 cents for every 1,000 messages sent, or something like that. I mean, it's ridiculously cheap. And so I'm just paying, it's basically like a la carte email sending, and I pay for the number of messages that I send in a month. And you get all of this information from the company that you sign up for, and then I can send like hundreds of emails per hour. So I think mine might be set at 250 or 500 or something, because that server can handle it. I mean, that's its job, is to send out email messages all day, every day. So that is how you set up that. And so if you're getting started, if you're just brand new and you're just getting your email list set up, I would recommend just doing the Gmail account. Just go ahead and set that up. It's the easiest one to do, and it'll guarantee to work. Some hosting companies will block the SMT ports, and so they may or may not send. You may have problems with different servers when your Gravity Forms or your Contact Form 7 doesn't actually submit after somebody, will submit a new form or contact, just because of the way that hosting companies are set up. So highly recommend sending everything with Gmail. And then if you want to kind of get it more advanced, if you have a big list, then you'll definitely want to use the third party to make those connections. And then what you can do too is you can tell who can create newsletters and who can manage subscribers. So if you have a virtual assistant or somebody who is actually coming into your site, you want to make sure that you don't give them the permission to delete all of your, all of your stuff. So you can go through here, you can see all the different settings, and you can say, oh, I only want authors to be able to do certain things. You can set the reply name and email by default, and so then this way it is the correct one every single time. And then if you have a bounced email address, you can send those to a specific thing, so you can look at those so they're not clogging up your main email box. And so there's a lot of other settings. There's some geeky settings that you can go through and do some configuration and things like that. Basically, this is saying if you wanted to create a page on your site, you can use this short code, and it automatically will to display past newsletters. So this is kind of cool if you want to give people the ability to go and look at past newsletters and read past articles. And then this is actually really cool. That, a lot of forums, a lot of people will say, join our 20,000 people on our subscriber list. Well, is it really, it's just kind of I don't know how, if you have a smaller type list, 20,000 is kind of a big number, and you'd rather say 20,000 than you would say 21,492. But if you have 856 people, that is more visually appealing, I would say, than 850 or almost 900. So that number can be automatically updated, and you can just plug this shortcode in on your site somewhere, and it will show those details. And then things like that, and then basically enable MailPoet's cron job. This is one last setting that I wanted to make sure that I cover. If WordPress has what's called a cron job that goes off every once in a while. It's based on how many people come to your site. And so every time somebody comes to your site, a cron job is fired, and every 5 minutes or so it looks to see if somebody has signed up and they need to send out a new message. And this is specific for the standard user, the standard email notification or email message. And so if you have plenty of people coming to your site, you don't have to worry about this. You can just choose the no thanks. But if it's a brand new site and you need to configure this and get it set up, you want to set up a cron job yourself, and you can basically just follow the instructions here. I know that every site that I've set up has enough people coming to it regularly that everything can go out and doesn't have a hitch when it comes to getting things set up and firing at the right time. So those are the things that I wanted to share with you. There's also some add-ons here. These are basically additional plugins that you can go and you can basically add that box, or you can do some sort of autoresponder or things along those lines for all of these cool places, these cool other plugins that you may or may not be using on your site. I use Opt-in Monster is one of the ones that I use that I've purchased. It's a premium plugin, but it basically gives the ability to do some slide up panels or a pop-up that pops up or things like that to really engage with people and say, hey, come here and sign up for my email newsletter. So you can do that. You can do that if you wanted to do. It's called Get Conversation. This is a bar that goes across the top or across the bottom for people to sign up. You can do that as well. And these are some other magic action boxes and Opt-in Revolution, or different things that you can use to have people sign up for your email newsletter. If you wanted something just a little bit more If you wanted something that's a little bit more fancy or flashy than this, you could use Opt-in Monster, and you can have a pop-up menu come up or a pop-up window come where people can actually sign up, and they can, that kind of disrupts what they're doing and what they're reading. So you've got those things as well that you can do in the add-ons as well. So that's going to kind of wrap up the demo here. And if you have any questions, go ahead and ask them in the chat room, and I will get to those in just a second. But this is really cool. This is like the new kind of, I don't know if I want to call it the new way, but this is really exciting to me because of the fact that MailChimp is always changing, and I can't ever figure out where the things are that I need. I maintain a very simple list, and so there's not like I need a lot of configurations, and I don't need all of these bells and whistles, and I just want to be able to do everything within my WordPress site, because once I'm here, like, I don't want to have to log out and cross-reference between MailChimp and this and back and forth, because if you're trying to write a teaser post for your latest blog post, like, you're going to want to see the text that you wrote in the blog post itself, so you know what to write in the teaser email. So all of those things to consider, and so I think MailPoet is a great way. It's kind of a new quote-unquote way to start managing your email list. So that's what I wanted to share with you in this webinar. I have found it extremely helpful. I found that, and I don't know if it's just because of the way that I'm using Opt-in Monster, but my email subscriber rate has went up. I'm getting many more people on a regular basis, and I'm starting to really use the newsletter, because every time I log into my WordPress site, I see MailPoet, and it's like, oh, I've got this MailPoet thing. I need to be sending out valuable information to my community and to my email newsletter subscribers. So that's why I've went with MailPoet. If you need more information, or if you're interested in checking out MailPoet for yourself, you can go over to I think it's MailPoet.com, and it's got all the information there. It's got a welcome video. It's got over 1 million downloads. I think it's at 1.7 downloads, or 1.7 million downloads, 1.747 million downloads, and it's got 1,500 ratings, which is huge for a free plugin written by 9 guys that are actually running this company, which is really, really cool. So if you're interested, go ahead and check it out. I get no affiliation with MailPoet. I just found it, and I started playing with it, and I absolutely love it. So I decided that, hey, I've got to tell everybody that I can about MailPoet and make sure that they know how awesome it is, and that you could be saving tons of money, because if you have an email list, say, of 10,000 people, which is a huge email list, you are paying some sort of monthly fee to your email subscriber service, like Aweber or MailChimp. You're probably paying, I don't know what it is, let's say, for example, just a round number, $100 per month to have that big of a list. It's probably not quite that big. It's probably closer to 50. So we'll use 50 as the example. So you're using 50, and you can send out your messages. So 50 times 50 times 50, times 12 is 600. So you got $600 wrapped up in that. And if you have those same 10,000 people with MailPoet, you've got to have the premium, which is $100 per year, and then you're paying $1 for every 1,000 messages that you send out. So for every email message that you send out, it's $10. So then if you send out, let's say, 2 per month, so that's $20 a month, so that's $120 per year, or $240 per year, plus the $100 that you've already spent. All the math in my head, that's like $340, which is cheaper than the $600 that you're paying on a monthly basis. And of course, it depends on how big your list is and things like that. But that's what I want to share. No questions came in during this webinar, which is awesome. I must have done a great job explaining it, but that's what I wanted to share with you today. So many exciting things are going on with MailPoet. I definitely highly recommend checking them out, and you can always use this for a small subsidiary form on your website, or a small way to start collecting responses, or maybe you want to start small and put this on one particular page and see how many people are actually opting in from one particular page. There's so many cool things that you can do, and definitely highly recommend you checking it out. If you are interested in learning more great WordPress information, you can head on over to yourwebsiteengineer.com, where you can get tons of free, valuable information. We're up to 187 podcast episodes dedicated 100% to WordPress, and so that's what that's all about. You can see here is my free slide up box. This is one of the opt-in monster things that is happening here, and I believe if I go to page number 2 here, we'll see the pop-up box that I currently have running. I believe I have some settings in here so it doesn't actually pop up immediately. That it doesn't pop up and wait so you see a couple different pages. So of course it probably won't pop up when it comes to an actual demo and when I'm trying to show it off. But that's what I wanted to share with you today. Check out yourwebsiteengineer.com for more great free WordPress information. And until next month, I will talk again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.